We will talk about ECLASS, not only from theoretical perspective, but from engineering point of view. My name is Helena Andreyishin, and I represent Keel, and I will be your speaker for today. I'm also joined by Sorzen Kroke, General Manager of ECLASS. Thank you. At the very beginning, I would like to briefly highlight a few organizational points. Please keep your microphone muted throughout the session. If needed, you might be muted by my colleague Olena Shepeluk, who is moderating today's webinar. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat and indicate the slide number to help us understand the context easily. And the last one, the webinar consists of two parts, the presentation and Q&A session. We will aim to address all questions during Q&A session. At the end of the webinar, the presentation will be shared with all of you. So before we move to the main topic, let me briefly introduce Keel. So at Keel, we help companies in energy, chemical, and defense sectors secure data and maintain assets, securing less downtime and improving asset lifetimes and efficiency. What makes us unique is that our people are real industrial engineers with expertise in IT frameworks, so we start from the perspective of how you want to use your data. Our guiding principle is to provide you with data in a usable format, driving the decisions and processes that make your assets more efficient and reliable. Well, we work with ECLASS not as observers, but inside real ERP systems and projects. And when it comes to ECLASS itself, there is no better person to introduce it than Sorzen. So Sorzen, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks for the turnover, Helena. My name is Thorsten. I'm General Manager, and I'm trying to support the really nice and good and smart planned webinar from Keel Solution here. But nevertheless, we'll start with a little bit history and theory. ECLASS is a global vendor-neutral digital semantic data standard for classification and for product description and services for the industry. This is founded in the year 2000. That means last year we did our 25th anniversary and was founded in Germany, but is used globally. And on the one hand, ECLASS is an association, which means that the members of the association develop and drive the standard forward from the industrial point of view. But nevertheless, there are more than 5,000 users ECLASS using. Why? A semantic language is really important, what ECLASS is providing. If you want to describe technical data and go for data exchange, you need the semantics and the information lossless, consistent, and comparable information. And this is possible with the semantics done by ECLASS, we will see later on. And we are really proud of that ECLASS is in full accordance with the ISO 8110 standard for the quality options, and also is based on the IEC 61360 ISO 29002. That means they are fully ISO and IEC compliant data model and preparation for the data exchange, and that leads to better market recognition and acceptance here. And we have now 26 years of experience, so this is already a proven semantic standard for that.
Oh, thank you, Sorzen. Thank you. And let's move on. We'll start from customer case. So standards create value only when applied at scale. So let me show you what that looks like in practice. In one of our projects, we supported a global customer in migration technical data from more than 5 internal classification systems into a single unified structure implemented in SAP across more than 20 plants in scope. The complexity was not only technical, it was also organizational. Each plant has its own classification logic, naming conventions, and attribute definitions. Our scope included mapping internal classes and properties to their unified equivalents, defining conversion rules, and transforming attributes to align with standardized semantics. Because this was a global deployment, multilingual consistency was essential. So equipment descriptions, property names, value lists had to be aligned across all 5 required languages. ECLASS proved to be the best option, as it could be implemented directly within the customer's SAP classification systems. The migration followed the structure ELT, maybe you know, extract, transform, load approach, including data cleansing, enrichment, and validation to ensure quality before go live. Finally, we provided training and support to ensure end users could apply new classification consistently and sustainably. The result was standardized technical data across all global locations, a single classification hierarchy, integrating ECLASS with internal systems, and significantly improved data quality, enabling more efficient procurement, maintenance, and analytics. Well, I could speak about this project in much greater detail, but now let's take a closer look at ECLASS by itself. So you probably noticed that in webinar title I mentioned ECLASS Basic. In our practical project, this is the version we mainly work with. However, for general overview, it's important to mention that there is also an advanced version of ECLASS. As you can see on the slide, advanced does not replace basic. It builds on and extends it with much more detailed technical content. So today our focus is on basic. But it's important to understand where it fits in the bigger picture. So the next slide. Facts and figures. So the slide largely speaks for itself. ECLASS has more than 150 active members, including businesses, associations, and public institutions, contributing to its continuous development. One of its major strengths is multilingual support. 31 fully translated languages, ensuring consistent understanding across international projects. ECLASS is used by approximately 5,000 organizations worldwide and has been continuously developed through transparent, open annual releases. In addition, there are more than 80 cooperations with global leaders in computer-aided technologies, system providers, and international standardization bodies, supported by a global network of IT service providers. Well, the key takeaway is not just numbers, it's the scale, governance, and international acceptance behind the standard. Next slide, we will talk about ECLASS structure. So ECLASS is built on a hierarchical structure with 4 levels. At the top, as you can see, we have segments followed by main groups, groups, and finally subgroups, which represent the first level, the level used for real asset and product classification. The first level is where standardized technical properties are defined. Well, on the right side, you can see an example, a hierarchy leading to a specific container class, as you can see, machine container class, and below it some of related technical properties. This structure ensures that classification represents technical meaning, not just terminology. And to continue this topic regarding structure, we will talk about structure elements. So, as we mentioned before, ECLASS is built from clearly defined structure, and now we have structure elements. At the core, we have classification classes, which represent the product group of the first level. Each class contains properties which describe technical characteristics, and the remaining structure elements such as value list, unit of measure, keyword, and synonym support searchability and multilingual usability. In the table, you can see that each structure element has its own identifier code. So here we have codes. And this shows that ECLASS is not just descriptive text, it is structured coded system where each element has defined role. So now let's look to the example shown. So here we have year of construction. The code clearly identifies the structure element type. Here we have in the middle. In this case, it's property, as you can see. So the next one, how to navigate in ECLASS online. So we will talk about version awareness regarding codes, property definitions, units, how to search, and what it is, how it's look like actually, international registration data identifier. So just a second. Hope you can see. We have homepage of ECLASS, so we can choose ECLASS Standard, search in ECLASS. As I mentioned previously, so we have 4 levels. Here we can see now segments, so various segments for various industries or services. Here also we can see a version ECLASS Basic, but you can, of course, switch to Advanced. Then current version is version 16, but as you can see, we have quite a lot of versions. We mentioned before that ECLASS is translated to 31 languages, but online is available for 4 languages, which is pretty much, I would say. And then classification. So you can look for, in this standard, look for classes, properties, values, and units of measure. So let's maybe look at the example, one of the last, for example, this one. It's class, so 4 level, 2 digits per level. It's some eye shower. Okay, let it be. We can see the structure, so segment, group, subgroup, and equipment. Equipment class, classification class. Then we have this full number and preferred name, so number and what it is exactly. Then we have pretty good definition to understand for everybody what it is. Again, we have keywords here, some alternatives, and ERDI I mentioned before. regarding international registration data identifier. So such identifier we have for ECLASS. The next part we have its a list of properties that are relative to this classification class. So, and some of them, as you can see, mentioned is value list, just simple one, color. So as you can see, you have a big variety of value list if there is. So what I wanted to mention one more. Of course, I've showed this example because I had some number, but if you don't have number, so for example, you are looking for shower, okay. Well, if you are using this search, you will have a lot of hints, and here we can see 55 hints. Well, it's okay. It's not maximum, but still you can always to be more specific with this search. So you can write, for example, here, eye. So eye shower or eye irrigation bottle. So here we have your class with specific structure. That what you wanted to see. And one more thing, with this ERDI, you can simply look for class in the same way. The search function is available not only for classification classes, but also for properties. For properties, values, and units of measure. What makes it pretty useful, I would say. So let's get back to our presentation. One more thing what I would like to mention, and we mentioned previously properties. So ECLASS properties are not only created for a single task or a single department. They are designed to support the entire asset lifecycle. When classification is done correctly, the same structured data can be reused from planning to procurement, from operations to renewal. This eliminates duplication, reduces interpretation of technical information, and ensures that everyone works with the same meaning. The real value is not in individual properties. It is in consistent, reusable, and reusable data, and that supports decisions throughout the asset's life cycle. Next slide, we will talk about where to implement ECLASS. So it's important to understand that ECLASS is a data model. This means it can be implemented in any ERP or even in a customer solution. It does not replace your system. It structures your data inside it. At the same time, implementation should be actually pragmatic. Start with business relevance first. Define what you really need. Not all properties are mandatory, and avoid over-engineering sometimes. And always focus on quality over quantity. ECLASS gives you the structure, but how you apply it must support your processes and your business goals. The next one, well, artificial intelligence is everywhere today, and of course, it also plays a role in how we work with structured data. So, Thorsten, I think you can add here.
Yeah, thanks again. So far, really good. And I can extend here for AI. We are doing something with, first of all, what's written down here. At the moment, as you can see, that there are duplicates and redundancies in the content, and try to identify them and to heal them out. And not only for value lists, especially for properties to have only the single source of truth in the standard. But nevertheless, we use AI to extend the definitions. I think one of the core benefits of ECLASS is the definition of something which has Helena just shown with the eye shower. And this will be the benefit and support this. We use AI to fill up and extend the definitions here. But nevertheless, I have some more to you. First of all, the first draft of the translations are done by DeepL, also with AI technology. We're working together with DeepL. Maybe you've heard of this. And what's really new, and for some power users available, not for everybody, is the AI-powered search. As you can remember what Helena has shown here, if you put down shower, and you will see here 55 of results. And the AI-powered search will give you a score of what you're really searching for. For example, if you're looking for the voltage, I mean, for electric components, the voltage is really mentioned oft, and the system tries to recognize, powered by AI, what are really searching for and gives you a search score. This is for the future, but nevertheless, ready to know that ECLASS is also innovative and uses AI here for everything.
Cool. Thank you, Thorsten. And actually, before we move further, let's do a quick reality check. Please take a look at these statements and choose the number I think you had received already poll. We are welcoming you to choose one of numbers of definitions, what is really relevant to you. Oh, I can see that we have already 3 responses. Would you like to respond? Okay, more. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your responses. Well, we can see that all have some issues, I would say. So, and everything is familiar to some extent for all. So if you choose numbers from 1 to 5, you are absolutely in the right place today. And if you choose maybe 6, I can see that we have such people, so you are absolutely in the right place, and maybe we can talk with you after webinar to discuss your case in more details. So thank you once again for your answers. It's great. So let's move on. Based on your answers, many of these challenges are very familiar. So from this point on, the slides reflect our practical experience from the real projects where we have seen both successful implementations and common pitfalls. And that is exactly where we need to be realistic. ECLASS is a powerful standard, but it is not magic. And if the input data is weak, even the best standard will produce weak results. ECLASS provides the structure, but the quality of the outcome always depends on the quality of your data and the clarity of your engineering decisions. The next slide regarding decisions. So before starting any classification initiative, it is essential to make a few key decisions. So first, decide what is in scope. Second, define what should be excluded. Actually, third, standardize, and finally, define the boundary. On the right, you can see a simple value versus effort matrix. Not everything needs to be classified immediately. Focus first on high value, high impact assets. Plan carefully. Some items can be optional and some should not be classified at all. There are maybe even the situations where certain items cannot be classified yet. Classification is not about doing everything, it's about doing the right things deliberately. And the next one, be prepared for data conflicts. At the very beginning, it's important in any project, I think, it's important to understand that classification does not eliminate complexity. It makes inconsistencies visible. And that visibility is the first step toward improvement. While starting a classification project, you will inevitably reveal data conflicts. Engineers constantly deal with situations where the same asset is described in different ways across systems or where data is incomplete. Sometimes assets are physically removed, which are physically removed are still active in the system. This is daily reality in many organizations. So, and I've prepared one example. Well, this this is very typical real life conflict. Not, well, yeah. The equipment description says high voltage. But during analysis in values, during analysis, we find out that in values was mentioned technical rating 220 volts. So technically it is low voltage equipment. We double checked with the electrician and discovered that they use the term high voltage because the standard voltage in the USA is 110 volts. And since this equipment operates at 220 volts, they considered it high. So the naming was based on local perception, not on technical standards. And regarding peculiarities. So besides data conflicts, we have also experienced several peculiarities. Yes, so the first one is we suggest always classify at the fourth level. The first to third level are structural and do not contain technical properties. They are not intended for real asset classification. The second one is closely related to the first point. Be careful with classes with ending 90. These are typically generic classes with a limited practical value. They can be used in certain cases. For example, when the exact asset type is not yet known or when no specific class currently exists. Well, sometimes be prepared for abbreviations. Class description can vary significantly in length, from very short, for example, 2 characters, to quite long, up to 80 characters. So in ERP system often face description length limitations. As a result, during our projects, we define, govern, and consistently apply standardized abbreviations to ensure clarity and consistency. The second part is one more. Another important peculiarity is always consider the full segment structure. Neighboring classes and their definitions truly matter. Sometimes two classes may sound similar, but they belong to completely different segments and carry different meanings. As shown in this example, we are talking about nuts. One is a food product and the other is mechanical fastening element. Context, segment structure, and definition must always be reviewed before assigning a class. This point is especially important when working with machine learning and AI tools, where semantic where semantic is really critical. It is also advisable to predefine the relevant segment for your classification project. Some segments may simply be irrelevant to businesses. For example, if your business operates within segment 46, clothing and textile, you should not use classes from segment 34, medical devices. And finally, we have experience conducting both online and offline training session, because it is really important to train personnel involved into classification. Also, we are preparing supporting materials in document and video formats. So regular audits followed by refresher trainings are equally important. Consistent understanding leads to consistent data. Without shared knowledge and clear governance, even a well-designed structure can be misused, unfortunately. The next slide. So what if required data is missing? What happens? This is not, actually, it's not an unusual situation in practice. The first step is not to create something new immediately. Instead, please review existing ECLASS classes and properties. You can also contact ECLASS representatives. There might be already created expert group within your segment of interest, and you can contact them. Then validate the business relevance and cross-project applicability before taking further actions. And actually, most important, never customize. That should remain standardized. A structured review process prevents unnecessary extensions and protects long-term consistency. If you encounter a type of equipment or that does not yet exist in ECLASS, so for this type equipment, classification class does not exist yet, or some truly important, you have some truly important property that is important beyond your own project, then this is exactly the moment when a change request come into play. Regarding change requests. Change requests, or CRs, are the formal way to extend the standard. CRs can be created in two ways, either manually, one by one, or through CDP. CDP is Content Development Platform, or via an import sheet. Frankly speaking, you can create a few CRs manually to familiarize yourself with the CDP. However, for structured and efficient request management, the import sheet will be usually is better option, especially when submitting multiple changes. It is important also to follow the official content roadmap and release cycle. ECLASS operates with defined deadlines and for submitting change requests before each new release is published. This means that extensions must be planned in advance. Well-prepared CRs aligned with business relevance and cross-project applicability have much higher chance of being accepted. If a CR is rejected, you will receive a notification from the CDP with the feedback. And let's move on. The next. Well, Keel officially started working with ECLASS in 2019. Since then, actually, as you can see, ECLASS even rebranded its visual identity. From our side, we have managed to transfer data from release 11 to release 15, and we are currently working on transition from version release 15 to 16. Honestly, yes, each upgrade becomes more complex, especially if you have created many change requests yourself, but it's of course not mission impossible. It is absolutely manageable and definitely worth it. Now, what actually changes between releases? New classes and properties can be added. Outdated, vice versa. Classes and properties can be removed. Definitions and value ranges may be extended. New class properties assignments may appear. New keywords definitions can be added. But what is equally important to understand that what does not change. Existing class codes remain unchanged. Semantic meaning of structure elements is preserved, and ERDIs are stable, I would say, but with one note, almost stable. I will show you some example. Just a second. For example, as you can see, torsional spring. So we have, here we have even the picture, what it is, how it's look like, this spring, and you can see. Here we have ERDI, and why I mentioned almost not change. This part is changes if this structure element have some changes, in this case class. So we have here 22, so preferred name, definition, keyword, and so on, and what we had, for example, in version 15. As you can see, we didn't have at that time definition, and actually the revision was 021 and 16 022. Here we have. So, and let's get back to the presentation. Another important point is ECLASS provides official update files with each new release. This allows you to be up to date and systematically evaluate the changes. And frankly, Excel is not the appropriate tool to manage release transitions at this level. Finally, classification is not short-term activity. If you are in the middle of an active classification project, it is recommended to not to upgrade the release during executions. Of course, if it's a big project and it takes more than couple years, you can divide this in a couple of stages and do not upgrade during active stage. So the next slide, why to choose ECLASS. First of all, the standard has been developed for more than 25 years, almost 26, as mentioned Thorsten. So as you can see from the slide, many well-known companies are members of steering committee of ECLASS, and that says a lot. about its credibility and industry acceptance. Beyond that, the benefits are practical. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Standardized classes, properties, units, and semantics are already available within ECLASS. Instead of continuously creating new internal elements on request, you can rely on a globally recognized structure that is ready to use. With proper classification, you not only cleanse existing data, you also prevent future duplicates. And the result is more reliable master data, fewer redundant materials and assets, and ultimately faster procurement and engineering process. Well, on previous slide, we saw many well-known manufacturers. Several of them are already embedding ECLASS directly into their product datasheets. And this means that technical properties, classifications, and identifiers are provided in a standardized format from the very beginning. If manufacturers, suppliers, and asset owners all use the same standard, data can move seamlessly across systems without reinterpretation, manual mapping, or semantic conflicts. That enables true interoperability between engineering, procurement, and operations. So, when to start using ECLASS? The right moment is when your data stops scaling with your business. One common trigger is a new ERP implementation. This is the ideal opportunity to introduce structured classification from the very beginning. Another moment is during data cleanup projects. If you are already reviewing and cleansing master data, it makes sense to align it with a recognized standard. Regulatory or compliance pressure can also be a driver. Structured and standardized data supports traceability and reporting requirements. And finally, growth and scaling. When your organization expands across sites, countries, or systems, a shared semantic standard becomes essential. ECLASS is not something you implement one day. It becomes relevant when complexity increases and structure becomes necessary. So, well, today we talked about ECLASS as a practical engineering tool. ECLASS is not a just classification system, as you can see. It is a semantic data language that enables structure, compatibility, and trust. But structure alone is not enough. A good data quality, clear engineering decisions, and governance are what turn classification into real value. ECLASS does not replace, of course, engineering expertise. It amplifies it by making data comparable, reusable, and scalable. When implemented deliberately, ECLASS reduces duplicates, supports scalable engineering, improves analytics, and lowers lifecycle costs. And remember, without consistent classification, analytics becomes storytelling, not reporting, unfortunately. Since many of you are new to ECLASS, we intentionally kept today's session practical and foundational, starting truly from scratch. I understand maybe somebody knows, of course, some of this information. And of course, NDA is very important for us, which is why we shared more general insights drawn from our classification project. But if you are interested in more detailed discussions or in understanding how ECLASS could be implemented in your specific system, I would be very happy to continue the conversation. So as for now, this first part, it is an ending of the first part. So thank you for your attention, and I look forward to your questions.
Hello. As I can see, we have a few questions today, so our webinar is useful. And first is, Helena, you mentioned that is generally not recommended to use 90 classes in practice. Do you still encounter a situation where they are used?
Well, unfortunately, yes. We still use them. It's especially those classes are especially useful when, for example, some equipment on plant is installed 15, 20 years ago, and nobody knows exactly maybe a model or some serial or what is it, the principle of working, and you cannot classify specifically. So yes, because it's class unspecified and could be used. So and of course, in case you have not enough data to find out what it is, then you don't maybe need some specific properties to fill in. So because, as I mentioned, 90 classes with ending 90 have only very generic properties. Yes, only up near 30 or 31. So yeah, we still use them. Yeah.
Yeah, may I extend and support you?
Of course.
There is another option if you have a really new product and there is not a classification available, but you want to do this, then you can go for the 90. It's unspecified, but then it is necessary to provide a change request to extend and improve the ECLASS standard or do this in an expert group. But the schemed reason from Helena is more fitting in some cases, yes.
Okay, next question. Helena, during the presentation, ECLASS expert groups were mentioned. Could you briefly explain what an expert group is and how companies can participate it? I think it's more a question for Torsten. Yeah, yes. Can you cover it?
Yeah, I'll do my very best. So at the moment, to improve and extend ECLASS from annual wise, there are around about 60 expert groups where the standard is improved. And this is a really free group. You can join it if you want. An ECLASS member is leading the group, so it makes sense that the leader of the group is a little bit aware of ECLASS, and there are discussed and developed the extensions of ECLASS. But it is not mandatory to provide a change request. You can also do this from your own without participating in an expert group. But during a creative process, when the expert group is meeting, it makes sense to join other experts from your sector. Some expert groups are sector specific. Some are cross-expert groups, for example, caring about units. You will find units in every industry sector, or environmental information. You will find environmental information for recycling or something else in nearly every sector. So some are sector specific, and some are cross experts group, and it is free of charge. Please join.
Thank you. From your project experience, what is the biggest challenge organizations usually face when starting classification initiative?
Well, thank you for such nice question. From my experience, as I can see, the biggest challenge maybe is to change something that was working 20, 30 years 10 years. And this change management and to how to say, to make personnel or make people that are working with this equipment and that plans every day to change their logic. So for example, they had some internal classification. It was working totally fine within, for example, for some specific engineer, it was totally fine for him. And now some changes. So this transition is sometimes challenging, and of course, if a new classification is implemented, everything is in the system. So to carry it, and for those people to train those people and to train those people to continue to work with this classification, to keep it, keep continuous, I would say, improvement or
classification alive.
Yes, well, yes.
Okay, thank you. Next questions. You mentioned that there have been quite a few ECLASS versions coming out. Just wondering how often the organization typically upgrades their data to newer ECLASS releases, and also what should they consider before doing so?
Well, actually, ECLASS releases new version annually, so once a year. So it's not very often, I would say. Regarding organizations, it depends on the organization and depends on the classes, segments and classes that are used. For some, it would be recommended, for example, annually to upgrade to new version. Yes, for example, they've sent a lot of change requests to have everything in this, to have everything aligned with the standard. So yes, for them it's okay to upgrade every year. But of course, there are some companies that they can stay within one version. For example, I don't know, version 13, for example, for a couple of years. For them, it's okay. So within their segments of responsibility, there were not so many changes that will cause any issues in their work. So it's totally fine to choose the version and stay within it.
Next question is, I think, more for Thorsten. Is it already possible to classify equipment using ECLASS with the help of AI or machine learning tools?
Yeah.
What do you think about?
The brief answer is yes, but now comes a but. But you have to, of course, you have to train the machine, and it's depending on the brown field of technical data. If you have a handwritten information 60 years old, it is nearly impossible that a machine can identify something. But if you have proprietary technical data sheet, then yes, it could be possible when there are some references so the machine can recognize what it is. We've seen this from Helena in the example with the nut. If there's only information nut, the system cannot understand the food nut or the nut for the machines. But if you have more technical data, it is possible. ECLASS is offering an AI-powered search also as an API. So you can ask the API, and with its score, more information you bring into the machine, you get better experience here for identify the right structure element. And then, yes, of course, with AI, it is possible. I know some companies are doing this, and they're using the score to identify the right structure elements, but it needs an investment here.
Well, yeah. And from my experience, I would like to add, actually, if we are working yes with old equipment installed long time ago, and we don't have some data sheets, and it is really difficult to use the machine learning to classify. So anyway, if you use this, the experienced engineers should check everything anyway.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's true.
Yes, you always need human beings to check the results here. This is mandatory for that.
Okay, thank you. We have only 5 minutes left, and last question from the chat. If organization feel lack of needed classes or characteristics, through which channels can organization submit requests for additional classes or characteristics in ECLASS?
Yeah, may I?
Yes,
So
okay.
there are two ways of providing change request. First of all, ECLASS is offering the content development platform Helena mentioned. You have to register, it's for free, and then you can provide improvement and change requests here via a web GUI interface. But sometimes if you have a lot of content and you need really new content, it makes sense to use an Excel spreadsheet, and which can be imported to the content development portal. You can find the Excel spreadsheet on the ECLASS sites, and then the change requests are uploaded. My experience is it makes sense to contact expert groups. There you will find other people from other companies from your sector, maybe in the same situation. And of course, and this is really my recommendation, please ask the colleagues from Keel, because they are really aware of master data and standards and the ECLASS mechanics. And I'm pretty sure they can help you out, provide change requests on a high quality level. So it makes sense to contact the colleagues from Keel for this topic here. And providing change requests to ECLASS is for free.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So,
You're welcome.
We still have 3 minutes. Maybe you have, maybe somebody has more questions, or maybe we didn't answer to your question properly. No. Okay. So I have nothing to add actually. So thank you all for your attention, for your question, and for your time spent. Hope to see you maybe on our next webinars. And if you have any questions, please contact me regarding services or regarding ECLASS itself, maybe Thorsten. So thank you very much. Thank you, Thorsten, once again.
No issue.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.